Before we get into the video, this will be up front because this is the most breaking news I've seen in a long time. If this is true, this is Megatron Ron reporting this. He says Trump and Putin have reached a deal on Ukraine behind closed doors, mainly on Russian conditions, Axios reports. I don't trust Axios, but if that's what they're reporting. According to the new plan, the U.S. and other countries will recognize Crimea and Donbass as legitimate Russian territory, reducing Ukraine's armed forces by 50% and no missiles on Ukrainian territory. Other conditions include recognizing Russian. This is one that's interesting, okay? Other conditions include recognizing Russian as the official state language in Ukraine and granting official status to the Russian Orthodox Church, the Financial Times reports. Now, if you didn't know, Russian is banned right now in Ukraine. You're not allowed to speak Russian. So that would mean I don't think they're going to ban Ukrainian. The Russians don't care, but but the official language is going to become Russian according to this. Now that's one. Number two, I don't see no NATO. Now maybe they didn't want to mention that because that would shed a bad light on NATO, but that's another requirement the Russians had. And there's two or three other territories that the Russians were claiming, and those aren't mentioned here. So I'm kind of skeptical about this report, but I wanted to put it up front. If this is true, this is great news. Let's let the die-in in. This will be a huge feather in Trump's cap, but I will point out, Trump could have ended this back in January of 2025. All he had to do was say, we're out. This was Biden's war. We're not going to give any more weapons or financial support to Ukraine. Instead, he spent billions upon billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars and continued to send weapons and arms to Ukraine, depleting our stockpiles. So all this is a great win for Trump if it's true. It could have been done a lot better. And let's get into the video now.
I saw Trump be booed at the football game the other day, and honestly, dude, it made me kind of sad. Like, people don't realize how much I love Donald Trump. Like, if you talk to my friends, even years ago, they would have told you that my favorite person in the world, other than Jesus, was Donald Trump. For years, I used to drive around Portland with Trump stickers all over my truck, and they would get scratched off every week, and I would put on new Trump stickers. Like, I believe that he was different, dude. And he used to walk into UFC fights or football games or baseball games or whatever, and the whole crowd would just erupt, and it was just beautiful to see. And now, dude, just everything has changed. Like, Donald Trump had the ability to be the best president of all time. He could have closed the borders, stopped all the woke nonsense, and locked up some politicians. Tried to cut down the cabal a little bit. But he's just not who we thought he was, dude. And to me, it was a very sad realization. Like, my family, my friends are still huge Trump people, but I see the world through a spiritual lens now. And what I'm seeing just doesn't look good.
Watching the world burn. Watching the world burn. November 20th, 2025. Let's get into it. So that was a video provided to me by Shadow of Urza. And he says, more Americans are now experiencing their disappointment in President Trump, saying they're stepping off the Trump train after years of support. And then, of course, he talks about the video, which you just saw up front. And I'm telling you, all over X, people are burning MAGA hats, setting Trump effigies on fire, burning the American flag. So you got rightists, and I don't think any a MAGA person would burn an American flag. But so it's kind of a unanimous protest against the Trump administration. And of course, if you watch the video up front, that was they're talking about possible peace in Ukraine. Like I said, Trump could have ended that a long time ago. And I didn't point out was that hundreds of thousands of lives would have been saved if Trump had taken the actions that I mentioned back on January 20th. Because I don't think, a lot of people just think about the war, it's someplace else. Who cares? Those are just Russians and Ukrainians dying. Those are human beings, man. We could have put an end to this long ago. There's hundreds of thousands of people no longer on this planet because Trump didn't take action on January 20th. Now, Biden didn't either. So, but then of course the Trump administration gave those offensive weapons during his first tenure, but that wasn't the point of this video. So we're going to get into this first. So, okay, there's a lot of posts going around saying, why don't the women, because there was 1,000 of them supposedly, that were violated by Epstein, the billionaires, the politicians, all of the powerful elite, young girls. I guess some of them were of legal age, 18 to 22. Some of them were down around 12 to 14. A lot of people say pedophilia. I haven't seen any evidence of pedophilia that Epstein was involved with. It was mainly just young girls. Now, 12 is the lowest that I've heard so far. And they say, well, why don't they just name names? Name names. What do you think happened to Trump in the last 4 years? It's called lawfare. Okay, you name a name, and I'll give Dershowitz. He was a woman named him as violating her, and of course he's a powerful attorney or lawyer or whatever you want to say. And boy, he took her to court. I dare say he probably ruined her financially. She was discredited, and I imagine her life was probably ruined from there on. Because then people discredit her. What do you think would happen if these women named a billionaire or a powerful politician or somebody in British? We did get one person in the British royal family that was discredited. But I'll just list the things that would happen. So, number one, they'd be sued for defamation. Talk about Dershowitz. I already did that. And he was known to have ties with Epstein. They would discredit them by digging up dirt and embarrassing them. I don't care how clean you are. There's always something in your past that can be really exploited to be used against you. In my case, I had a DUI back in, I don't want to say 2006. And they would use that and say, hey, he's a drunk. He's nothing but an alcoholic. He got a DUI in 2006. Can you imagine? So yeah, they'll dig up something on you, so that will discredit them. And then of course they will eliminate their employment. And because they've been discredited, they've eliminated their employment opportunities. Okay? So let's say Pam Johnson was working at JP Morgan Chase as a teller. One call from a billionaire to Jamie Dimon. He says, hey, you got this teller. She accused me of accused me of raping her. And she's already signed papers because I took her to court and said that I didn't do it. I want her fired. Jamie Dimon picked up the phone. He called a manager at that bank, that satellite bank. He'd say, I want Pam Johnson fired right now. And of course, you think that bank manager's not going to say, Pam Johnson, bye-bye. We've got evidence that you lied about a billionaire or a politician. So that'd be the next thing that would happen. They would lose all the credibility. And then, once they're on the streets, if they didn't have family or backup, because they can't get a job, they can't earn money, they'd be out on the streets. And guess what that billionaire would do? He'd hire up, what would that be? Was it Black? I can't remember the daggone organization that worked for the federal government over in Iraq, a private contractor, but every billionaire's got some go-to mercenary organization that they can call to take care of things. And it's done through, shadow company after shadow company after shadow company. There's no way you would ever connect it back to the billionaire. And so up front, he might give them, let's say $100 million. That's nothing to a multi-billionaire. He says, here's $100 million, take care of this. And of course, they would hire another organization and they pay them, let's say $50 million. And then it gets down to $25 million. So you see, they're distancing everything away. Finally, it gets down to the person on the street, which is so far distant from that billionaire. And they say, we want this woman dead. Make it look like a suicide. And so they would suicide that person, just like they did that girl that actually came out. If I can get her name, I should have put her in my notes. And that'd be the end of her. So under those conditions, you idiot people who keep saying that these women should name names, they can't name names. Are you kidding me? And on the billionaires side, there's been a lot of times where people have named names to get one of those silencing agreements for money. So it's a revolving door. Sometimes they make money, sometimes they get killed, right? So because sometimes people don't want that information out there, but they certainly can't name it publicly. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the parents. So we got 1,000 young women that were either sold or somehow are kidnapped, or I don't know, or threatened. I mean, how in the hell, if you've got a 14-year-old daughter or a 12-year-old daughter, and you know that Epstein has talked them into or has, somehow he's taken them to his island, what are you going to do about that? I can tell you what I'd be doing about it. I'd be looking for some mercenaries because, well, and I was a Marine, I'd be joining them. And I'd say, here's all the money I got. We're going to go get my daughter off of Epstein Island no matter what. Now, you say, well, go to the police. No, the police are bought off. Epstein, good Lord, I'm hearing more and more connections. He was connected with the Mossad. He was connected with the CIA. Hell, he knew Lavrov. I mean, he knew people in Russia. I mean, this guy, I would say he was bigger than President Trump. I mean, as far as his connections went, I mean, he was in the Middle East hobnobbing with the Saudis, he'd be on Qatar one day. I mean, my God, this guy had connections. I mean, people would call up Epstein if they wanted an introduction to anybody in the world. That's how powerful this guy was. Well, he actually inherited it from the Maxwells. If you didn't know, I think, was it Benjamin Maxwell? He was Mossad. That was, what is her name? Janine Maxwell's father. And he was the one who set up the organization. And I think he just handed it over, well, to Janine and of course, Epstein. And, why those two, I don't know exactly. And so then it just went on from there. So really, he was just continuing an organization that had already existed, but somehow he's able to make it even bigger. I mean, Epstein knew every congressman. In fact, I mean, if you saw that video here recently, there was actually a congresswoman. He was texting her while she was interviewing somebody on the House floor. I mean, this guy was powerful as hell. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. But anyway, but still, my question, getting back to it, was why in hell would these parents put up with their 14-year-old daughter being raped over and over again? I mean, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they were runaways. I would love for somebody to do an investigation into that aspect of the story. How did these women end up on Epstein's Island with no police? I mean, especially if there was a missing persons report, let's just say, okay? Can nobody know anything? Were they just grabbed off the street? We know a couple of them were recruited out of Mar-a-Lago, and Trump knew about it. I think he might have even reported it. And of course, the police did nothing. That's what I was talking about. But where were the relatives? What about their friends? How was this all kept silent? There, 1,000 women could be transported to Epstein's Island and nobody did any, I mean, the parents didn't do anything about it. I'd be making, at least I would try to go public with it first, but then I would take matters into my own hands. Even if I had to travel to the island by myself on a dinghy, of course I wouldn't get very far. I'm sure the security would be standing on Epstein's Island. But God dang it, as a parent, I'd have to try to get my daughter back. Hopefully maybe Epstein might say, well, it's not worth keeping Sally Brooke here on the island. We just need to give her back to her father because you know what, he's bringing us too much publicity. Let's give him his daughter back. Where were the parents? Tell me that. Riddle me that, Batman. All right, so the Epstein Files, of course, will be released. Now, this is just a symbolic victory. I put out a post. I said, at least we made the blood-sucking scum on Washington, D.C. to suck it. They had to suck it because they had to vote. I'm very proud of the MAGA movement and the lefties. That they went up and made these congressmen, these corrupt congressmen, the corrupt government. They had to suck it and at least vote to reveal something. Now, nothing's going to get revealed, and I'll go over that here right with these notes. So this is really, I want to say this is just the first step in the Epstein saga. At least we got past the first step, okay? Because Trump was stonewalling us, the America First MAGA movement. So it's not going to amount to anything. It's only unclassified documents. Those unclassified documents will be redacted. It's been estimated that about 80% of the Epstein files are classified, so those will not be released. And of the 20%, I'd say 10% will probably be redacted. And then, of course, the 10% that we get will just be, fluff. But the fact that we made them reveal it, boy, I'm looking at a deer right now. I wish I could turn the camera around, but I can't do it. The fact that we made them reveal it, that's freaking fantastic. Let's see. Yeah, and what will be cut out for sure? They'll cut it saying it was because the names of the victims were in there. They didn't want them revealed. And then, of course, and it will be gone through and sanitized. Like I said, I got a picture right here of Pam Bondi. Somebody posted this, and I thought it was fantastic, of her shredding the Epstein files before they get released. That was precious, That was put out by Hoodlum, and he says, Pam, I told them to vote to release the documents. On it, Mr. President Trump. Didn't you love that picture of Pam Bondi? Deep state Pam Bondi. Deep state corporate Pam Bondi. She ain't never going to prosecute nobody. I can tell you that right now. So, let's see. Yeah, and this is back down in my notes. Let me see if I've got something else here. Why don't these 17 women give up the client list? Number one, they don't have a client list. They probably only know a couple of people. That was one person that said that. And why is DC releasing it? Because people are going on. This is a real. They're going to be shaking in their shoes in Washington D.C. They don't give a flip about these files being released. Why do you think they all voted for it? They know there's going to be nothing in it. So nobody in Washington D.C. cares that these files are going to be released. Let's see. Yeah, that's it for the first page. That's good. I wonder if I missed a video on here. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to tell, because when I talked about the lawfare, I wanted to talk about my case with lawfare. Boy, that sun's setting fast. You know what? I got my headlamp. Let's just keep going. I'm enjoying the hike out. I've been really sick, man. So to be out here is just fantastic. But so my story with the court system was I hired Jackson Hewitt. If you didn't know, Jackson Hewitt, I'm just going to turn and head back. Jackson Hewitt was, they're a franchise organization. So if you have a problem with your tax return, you have to take it up with whatever franchise did your taxes. You can't go to like a corporate office. That's where H&R Block is a much better alternative if you want to pay somebody to do your taxes, which I found out the hard way. But Jackson Hewitt messed up my tax return so bad, cost me thousands of dollars. 4 audits by the IRS because it was so bad. And I had to go and hire a master tax preparer from H&R Block, because you want them between you and the IRS. And it took 2 years for me to resolve it. I was so pissed off. I said, these guys, I'm taking these guys to court. And so I went to, in my case, I was living in Michigan at the time, and the tax return was done in Dearborn Heights. I'm sure you've heard of Dearborn now. They're playing the, glad I don't live there no more. They're playing the what is it, the Muslim prayer 5 times a day over the speakers. Can you imagine being in Dearborn, living there, and you're hearing that 5 times a day? Good God, thank God I got out of there. And I lived there 20 years. Can you imagine? I must have been batshit crazy. I should have gotten out there a long time ago. But so continue. So I went to Dearborn Heights and I said, I'm going to file it here. And they said, no. His corporate office is in Livonia. You need to go to Livonia to file the complaint. And I'm giving you this story for education in case you run into something like this. And so I said, well, okay. So I went to Livonia, and I filed the small claims case, and I got with my master tax preparer and my ex-wife, and we went there, and I said, okay, let's get this done. And so, it turns out, we finally got into, and by the way, if you didn't know, in small claims court, it could be anybody. It could be Sally Rowe is the magistrate. They don't have to be trained in the law. They don't have to be anything. They just got to be appointed. And usually it's, money talks. And so the woman obviously was bought off by the guy from Jackson Hewitt, because she says, well, you have no standing because you're in the wrong venue. You should have filed this in Dearborn Heights. I said, well, Dearborn Heights told me to come to Livonia. So then I go back to Dearborn Heights, and they said, well, no, we're not. You wouldn't want to file here. You should have filed in. I said, I did file in Livonia. They told me it was no good. She goes, well, I don't understand that. Doesn't make any sense to me. She says, you can file here, but she says, I think you're going to get the same thing. I said, damn. So, I waited about a month, and I kept digging into it. Well, it turns out if you have a case like that, just like Trump did, you can immediately file an appeal, just like Trump did, after that case in New York, where they convicted him of 37 felonies on that bogus case. That's why I'm saying the lawfare. Trump could afford to do the lawfare. These women, they couldn't afford to do it. And so, and I said, well, damn. So I went back to Livonia, and they said, well, no, you got to pay all your fees again because you didn't file within 30 days. You see how the legal system can just eat you alive? That's all I wanted to say. And I missed something on the first page. I wanted to get it out of the way first. All right. So I get a lot of comments, mainly on X, but I get some on YouTube and Rumble. And I'm just putting this out there for the people that are calling me names. So my ex-wife used to call me asshole. I take that as a badge of honor. So I wouldn't use that one if you're trying to insult me, because that actually is a compliment, in my opinion. Racist used to get under my skin. I've been called that. Doesn't really bother me anymore. I mean, because everybody is a racist these days. If a Democrat's around you, they're calling you a racist, so that doesn't work no more. Because of my stance on, I don't like the extermination of the Palestinians, I've been called anti-Semite. That doesn't really work, because I know I'm not. I love Jews. I got Jewish friends, or I had Jewish friends. I don't have any now. They're dead, most part. Jew hater, I've been called that. So kind of along the same lines as anti-Semite. I've been called a leftist. I guess because of my stance on Israel, because I'm saying that Israel shouldn't own the federal government. They shouldn't own our politicians. And I've talked about that many times in the past. And they shouldn't be basically, Netanyahu, Trump kisses Netanyahu's ass. So I guess that's why I'm called a leftist, which that one came out of left field, pun intended. I've been called a right-wing extremist, mainly, I guess, for other views that I've talked about, because I don't know why I'm a right-wing extremist. I just I wanted a balanced budget. I was all for the Doge of the government. I like Elon Musk, even though he's a billionaire. Maybe that's right-wing. I don't know. I've been called a white supremacist. That one I don't even understand. I mean, I haven't really been out. I've done nothing against black people. In fact, have had a lot of black friends over my lifetime. And then another one was flat earther. And I talked about that in previous videos. And I guess that just means that I don't know anything. I think that's what that means. Now, I wanted to give some names that I was fond of real quick. The high school names were LSD. And I like that name. That was back in high school. And then Elwood. I don't know. I don't know where these names came. Well, I know where LSD came from. I won't tell you why, because I don't want people harassing me. But Elwood, how in the world did they want to call me Elwood? I mean, I don't know. It just stuck. And so everybody, hey, Elwood, man. And then, of course, on the football team, because I'm only 5, I'm pretty short. Let's just put it that way. They call me Little Man. Hey, Little Man, you're going to take the snap this time. Tell me what's going on, Little Man. That was my name on the football team, Little Man. I liked the name. I mean, a lot of people might have been offended. And then in the military, well, at Marine Corps basic training in Parris Island, they called me a Little Recruitie. And nobody else was a Little Recruitie. Everybody was a recruitie. You're a recruit. Okay, you're not, you have no name hardly in Marine Corps basic training. You're just a recruit. So, Recruit Thompson, come forward. No, I was just Little Recruitie. Little Recruitie, get up here. What the hell's wrong with my shorts? Because, they put me as a gear locker recruit, which if you're a Marine, you know exactly what that is. And then, for whatever reason, the house mouse got tossed out. I don't know, somehow he got his hands on some cigarettes. And that was a no-no in the Marine Corps basic training back in the 80s. And man, they tortured him. I mean, literally tortured him. And then, of course, they kicked him out as a house mouse. I guess they thought it was a privilege to be the house mouse. To me, the house mouse was the most horrible thing ever. And they said, Little Recruitie, you're now the house mouse. So I went from gear locker recruit. I mean, I did everything. In Marine Corps basic training, you're just a regular recruit, or you're a gear locker, which gives you that's added responsibilities. If you understand, you go all day long and you only get a little bit of free time in the evening. But if you're gear locker recruit, that free time is cut in half because you're in the damn gear locker taking care of everything. And then and of course, then from going from gear locker recruit to house mouse, now what does the house mouse do? He has to clean the drill instructor's quarters. He has to do their laundry. So I had all these responsibilities. And I'm like, how the hell did this happen to me, man? I mean, what the hell? Little Recruitie. All right, so those are all the names that I've been called in the past. So please come up with something a little bit better that you can call me. I would appreciate that because I want something more innovative. This is a good video here. I'll just read it to you. Light's getting kind of dim. Trump says the U.S. needs we talked about this. This is just another example. H-1B immigrants to make computer chips and train our people. Trump forgot we invented the chips and trained our countries to build them, other countries to build them. We aren't buying it, and this is that video right now.
About H-1B visas, yeah. You said that there were certain talents that Americans needed to outsource to foreign workers. Could you clarify?
Until they learn that, yeah. Like, for instance, if you're going to be making chips, we don't make chips too much here anymore, but we are going to be in a period of a year. We're going to have a big portion of the chip market. But we have to train our people how to make chips because we didn't do it. We used to do it, and then foolishly we lost that business to Taiwan. Very, very foolishly, because if they had a president that thought like I did, they would not have let that happen. But it's all coming back. I think we're going to have within a few years, we're going, and not because of the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act was a disaster for this country. We gave away billions of dollars to other countries and other locations and companies, and all they did was rob our money. But because of tariffs, the chips are coming back. Chip makers are all coming back. And I think within a very short period of time, we're going to have maybe even the majority of the chip making in the world will be right in the United States, where it should have been all along. But because we had people that didn't believe in tariffs, they believed in them, but they didn't know how to use them. We would have had Nobody leaving our country right now. And instead you have almost 100% of the chips are made in Taiwan. It's so disgraceful. The good news is it's all coming back. Yeah, please, bring it back.
Okay, now that you've seen that video, in the last video I gave you my story. You know, H-1B visas, I was, man, I'm going to tell you, I was the best at computers, in my opinion. You know, there weren't many people that knew more about, because I worked many different facets of the computer industry. If you don't understand, you got mainframe people, you got PC people, you got Unix administrators. You know, most people are kind of, the computer world is vast. You know, right now you got AI people. You know, so if you took a mainframe person and put them in an AI group, you know, and they say, oh, it's just computer technology. No, they're almost entirely different fields of study. You know, it's like putting a sanitation engineer as an electrical engineer. You know, I mean, but I had done it all. I have done both the sanitation engineer and the electrical engineer. So, you know, I could wear any hat. And so that's why I never had problems getting a job. Let's do this. This is Trump is having trouble. Oh, yeah, and this is defending 600,000 Chinese students in America because it's not actually in our interest. It was a concession made by Trump so that China could sell or sell TikTok to the Israelis. You know, I've talked about that in the past. Larry Ellison bought it. I didn't realize that was a concession for bringing in 600,000 Chinese. And of course, we need those rare earths. So let's watch that video now.
And all. Oh, wait, I never told you how it tied in. Okay. Let me explain how this is all Israel's fault. Let me tie everything I've talked about so far into the fact that it's Israel. Why are we letting in 600,000 Chinese students? Doubling the number that are currently here, 277,000, over doubling it. Because that was a key concession that Trump made during his negotiations with China over our trade agreement with them this year. Another primary sticking point of that was, of course, the sale of TikTok from China to Larry Ellison so he could install an IDF soldier at the heart of the operation in order to silence anybody that speaks out against Israel or the Jewish diaspora. So that's why we're taking in 600,000 Chinese students, because that was the concession necessary for America to make so Israel could control an important social media company here in America. That's what it's about.
Okay, so that kind of makes my point. Why do we want, and by the way, all those 600,000 Chinese, he didn't point out in the video, they're all spies. Okay, do you realize that you're required by law, the Chinese party, to spy on the United States if you come to the United States? Now, if you haven't been to college, this won't make much sense to you, but a lot of our really technical, important military and basically corporate research takes place at the colleges around the United States. Now, if you've got Chinese students going in there and learning these technologies, they're going to report that back by law to the Chinese party. Because if they don't do it, guess what? Their family can be thrown in jail or tortured or even killed. Okay, so all these Chinese, these 600,000 students now know everything that's taking place in the colleges around the United States. And Trump's for this? What the fuck, Trump? Trump, whatever. I mean, what do you want to call him? I mean, this is the dumbest thing. Doesn't he understand that he just imported 600,000 spies into the United States? Maybe Susie Wiles, by the way, there was a great post. Susie Wiles' worm tongue. I was hoping somebody would do that. And they got her whispering into Trump's Theoden's ear. And I posted that on my X channel. Oh, let's put the picture up right here. Yeah, isn't that great? So that's Susie Wiles, if you didn't know. Man, one ugly woman, and I told you in the last video that I put her up in an ugly contest against Nancy Pelosi any day. And that's her, because you understand, she filters all the information that goes to Trump.
Susie Wiles, she had her father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer, he was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied.
And that's her whispering in Trump's ear. Isn't that fantastic that somebody did that? And that post was by Robert Barnes. And oh, this is, there's another post by Robert Barnes. Trump is down 21 points in East Tennessee, the heart of the working class population, with a deep ancestral dislike of foreign interventions especially. And you've got the graphic up there for you. And I've told you Trump has been bleeding. I mean, bleeding support. It's unbelievable what's happened to him. He's even hated by MAGA and America First. It's crazy. Let's get this one. This is Tucker Carlson told Ben Shapiro and other Zionist influencers to stop treating Americans like cattle and calling them Nazis if they don't want to give money to Israel. Carlson said, if you keep it up, you're flirting with real backlash, like a real one. Nick Fuentes, not Nick Fuentes style. Okay, let's watch that video by Tucker Carlson right now.
You want people to follow you? You want to sell your ideas to them? You want to convince them that what you're saying is true? Show some love for them. Demonstrate that you love, that you care about them. Why are we doing this? Because we think it's better for you. Shapiro and all of these guys, they don't make an effort to do that because they don't feel that way at all. Shut up, cattle. You're a Nazi. Give us the money for our preferred little country, or else we're going to denounce you. Man, those attitudes are incompatible with leadership and, in fact, with democracy itself. You can't have a country of 350 million people governed by boutique goals and concerns. I really care so much about this thing, and you better care about it too, or else I'm going to attack you and deplatform you. It doesn't work. It's illegitimate, actually. And if you keep it up, you're flirting with, real backlash, like a real one. Not Nick Fuentes, like a real one. So cool it. Listen to other people. Don't treat them like cattle. Treat them like human beings.
Okay, so hopefully my lights, I can barely see the page. We're getting to the end here, thank God. Oh yeah, let's put these up one at a time, and I'll talk about this. So there's a new pack that's come out. I talked about it. No, I didn't talk about it in the last video. Because this is actually my 4th remake of this video. I tell you, things kept evolving. I kept trying to get out, and of course, being sick, I couldn't get out and make the video. But there's actually 17 Israeli PACs that lobby all sorts of organizations around the United States. Of course, they own the U.S. government, and I'm displaying those as I'm talking to you right now. I mean, this is incredible, isn't it? And the thing is, I mean, when you look at the amount of money involved, it's both parties. So that's why we got a uniparty government, because the Israelis fund both mainly the Democrats, but also the Republicans. And I'm scrolling those across the screen as we speak. So I hope you're seeing that. And and that's another thing. You know how much money it takes to buy off a congressman? It's really not that damn expensive. They make money on all sides. They get money from the industrial complex. They get money, so it's basically they're so corrupt that they get money from all different sources. So that's why it's easy to buy them off. They already know they're compromised. So this is the video. You got to see this. This is the one I was talking about. This is the Anti-Zionist American Political Activism Committee, AZAPAC. And then my question is, are they real? Or is this just another grift? I mean, how many times have people capitalized on, a movement in the United States, like a Tea Party movement or something like that, and they come out with these organizations, and you find out later that it was just but Black Lives Matter. That was just a huge grift, They were capitalizing on the what they thought was an anti-racism thing, and they made a hell of a lot of money. But I hope this is real, and because people tap into that type of money all the time, and I can't read. I'll put their X address in the video, but let's watch. And by the way, I recorded this with new settings. I've been working on the settings on my computers to improve the video. I'm always trying to improve the videos, and I got with Grok. By the way, Grok is the best way to improve your settings for DaVinci Resolve or OBS Studio or Handbrake. Those are the three main tools that I use. And so I've been tweaking the settings. This is what the new settings. Let's watch that video now.
The United States of America did not begin with a revolution against tyranny, only to serve a foreign nation state. But the fact is, our government acts like the servant of another country. That other country is, of course, the State of Israel. That's not policy. That's a national disgrace. I'm Michael Rechtenwald, founder of the Anti-Zionist America Political Action Committee, or AZAPAC. Let's cut to the chase, shall we? The U.S. government has been hijacked by forces loyal to Israel. Does Congress represent us? No. With rare exceptions, they work for Israel. These aren't your elected reps, they're puppets. And their strings are pulled by donors loyal to the modern nation-state of Israel. This isn't an alliance, it's extortion. While we're scraping by, eggs at $6 a dozen, rent or mortgage devouring our paychecks, our leaders have funneled over $21 billion to Israel in 2 years, not counting the cost of U.S. engagements in the region at Israel's behest. The total cost to U.S. taxpayers in service of Israel is an estimated $33 billion since October 7th, 2023. That's on top of the $3.8 billion sent Israel every year. Billions that could fix our roads. Billions that could fund our schools. Billions that could house our veterans. Billions that could ease your burden. But no, they fund endless Israeli aggression instead. Israel, the largest recipient of U.S. aid in history. Israel, the country that bombed the USS Liberty. Israel, the country using our weapons to mass murder innocents. 20,000 children to be exact. Gaza ripped off the mask. We all watched the live-streamed horrors. The money extorted from us funds crimes against humanity, what genocide scholars and dozens of humanitarian organizations call a genocide. This blind allegiance, this veto on our national sovereignty, this denial of reality must end. We've had more than enough. AZAPAC isn't here to beg. We're here to evict. We're backing warriors who spit in the face of this cabal. Jose Ve- AZAPAC.com. That's AZA-PAC.com right now. Donate, volunteer, amplify, join the fight. Because we're not pleading for our country back, we're taking it.
Okay, so we're getting down to the end. I saved this for the end because it's been all over. Everybody's been posting this video. But I wanted to post it here at the end. So Marjorie Taylor Greene says that she has a message for Trump. I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years. And I gave my loyalty for free. I gave him my loyalty for free. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. And of course, she's talking about Israel. Trump serves Israel. He kisses Netanyahu's butt. That's what he does. Is MTG calling Trump a traitor? That's the question. And then we got MTG in the video.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people, whom we serve as representatives here in Congress, demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein Files. But the real fight will happen after that.
All right, so let's finish it up. I am that cybersecurity guy watching the world burn, or my handle on YouTube is that cybersecurity guy, but the category is watching the world burn. On Rumble, I am the Burn channel, and also on YouTube, which I'm trying to convert over to, but people are not subscribing. They're staying with that cybersecurity guy, which is fine. But I want you to go to Florida Man News Network, Florida MNN, all one word, Florida MNN. Peace out, stay free. If we think of something else on the way back, I'll just get a dark video.